Captain Adara Rin gripped the arms of her command chair, her knuckles whitening as the battered Tempest-class starship shuddered under the relentless barrage. Alarms blared, systems flickered, and the air grew thick with the acrid stench of burned circuitry. Shields down to 15%. Her first officer, Aiden Krell, shouted over the chaos. Hull breaches on decks 4 and 7. Life support failing on multiple sections. Adara's jaw tightened as she surveyed the devastation on the bridge view screen. Their once mighty vessel, reduced to a drifting, wounded predator, surrounded by the sleek, advanced warships of their implacable foes. All available power to forward shields and weapons, she ordered, her voice betraying none of the fear that gripped her. Target their command vessel. We have to buy the others time to escape. Aiden's brow furrowed. Captain, we're outmatched. Our only chance is tow. We fight. Adara interrupted, her eyes burning with defiance. Humanity has always found a way to prevail, no matter the odds. I'll be damned if we surrender now. The bridge shuddered as their remaining weapons lashed out, scoring glancing blows against the enemy's shields. But the alien ships responded with devastating precision, their firepower relentlessly pounding the Tempest's battered hull. Adara braced herself as a series of explosions rocked the bridge, showering her in sparks and debris. Report. Main power is down, Aiden reported, his voice strained. We've lost weapons and propulsion. Life support failing across the ship. Adara's heart sank as she realized the terrible truth. They were doomed. Then it's time, she said, her voice calm and resolute. Activate the emergency transponder. Let the others know what's happened. Aiden's eyes widened. Captain, you can't mean. I do. Adara interrupted, her gaze locked on the implacable alien vessels. We'll buy them the time they need, no matter the cost. She turned to the young lieutenant at the communications console, her expression unwavering. Hail the enemy. Let them know that humanity is not so easily broken. The lieutenant nodded, his fingers flying across the controls. After a moment, the bridge view screen crackled to life, revealing the alien commander, a tall, imposing figure with cold, unforgiving eyes. You are beaten, human, the alien said, his voice a deep, rumbling growl. Surrender, and we may spare your lives. Adara's lips curled into a defiant smile. We are far from beaten, creature. Humanity has faced worse and emerged stronger. You will find that we are a force to be reckoned with. The alien's eyes narrowed, and for a moment, Adara thought she saw a flicker of unease in their cold, alien depths. So be it, the alien growled. You will all die here, alone and forgotten. The view screen went dark, and Adara turned to her crew, her expression grim but resolute. You all know what to do, she said. May the gods be with us. As the Tempest's battered hull began to crumble under the relentless assault, Adara steeled herself for the inevitable. This was the end, she knew, but humanity would not go quietly into the night. They would fight to the last breath, and perhaps, in doing so, they would inspire others to stand against the darkness that threatened to engulf the galaxy. The emergency transponder's signal pierced the void, carrying a desperate message to the scattered remnants of humanity's fleet. Aboard the Tempest, Adara and her crew braced themselves for the final confrontation, their weapons blazing in a last defiant stand. Shields down to 5%. Aiden shouted, his face etched with grim determination. We can't take much more of this. Adara's jaw tightened as she watched the enemy ships converge, their firepower raining down upon the Tempest's battered hull. Maintain all available power to forward shields, she ordered, her voice unwavering. We have to hold out as long as possible. Around her, the bridge crew fought with every ounce of their strength, their fingers dancing across consoles as they struggled to keep the dying ship alive. Explosions rocked the vessel, and Adara felt the deck lurch beneath her feet, but still, she refused to surrender. Captain, We're picking up multiple warp signatures. The communications officer suddenly announced, his eyes widening. It's the fleet. They're coming. Adara's heart soared with hope as the viewscreen flickered, revealing the sleek, powerful silhouettes of her comrades' ships emerging from the darkness. Their weapons blazed, lashing out at the alien vessels with devastating fury. Signal the fleet, Adara ordered, her voice tight with emotion. Tell them to focus their fire on the command ship. We'll draw their attention and hold them off as long as we can. The communications officer nodded, his fingers flying across the controls. Moments later, the Tempest's battered weapons lashed out, pounding the enemy's shields with renewed vigor. Aiden's eyes widened as he watched the battle unfold. Captain, the enemy is breaking off. They're turning to engage the fleet. Adara allowed herself a brief, triumphant smile. Then our gambit has worked. Keep the pressure on, Lieutenant. We have to hold them off for as long as possible. The Tempest shuddered under the enemy's retaliatory strikes, and Adara braced herself as a series of explosions rocked the bridge. Alarms blared, and she could feel the ship's life slipping away. Hull breaches on multiple decks, Aiden reported, his voice strained. We're losing structural integrity. We won't last much longer. Adara's eyes narrowed as she watched the alien command ship take the brunt of her fleet's assault. Then we'll make our stand here, she said, her voice resolute. We'll show these creatures the true might of humanity. She turned to the communications officer, her expression grim. Hail the fleet. Tell them to focus their efforts on the command ship. We'll hold the line here. The officer nodded, his fingers flying across the controls. Moments later, the viewscreen flickered to life, revealing the face of her old friend and fellow captain, Elias Kirin. Adara, what the hell are you doing? Elias demanded, his brow furrowed with concern. Adara's lips curled into a determined smile. Winning this war, Elias. Now go, and may the gods be with you. Before Elias could respond, Adara cut the transmission, her gaze fixed on the rapidly approaching alien vessels. All hands, prepare for the final battle. This is where we make our stand. As the Tempest braced for the inevitable, Adara steeled herself for the fight of her life, determined to ensure that humanity's legacy would endure no matter the cost. The Tempest shuddered under the relentless barrage, its shields flickering and failing as the alien warships closed in. Adara gripped the arms of her chair, her knuckles white with tension, as she watched the battle unfold on the viewscreen. Shields down to 2%. Aiden shouted, his face etched with desperation. Hull breaches on all decks. We're venting atmosphere. Adara's jaw tightened as she surveyed the devastation around her. The bridge was a mess of sparks and debris, and she could feel the ship's dying heartbeat, the steady hum of the engines giving way to the ominous silence of impending doom. All hands, prepare for the final stand, she announced, her voice calm and resolute. We may be outmatched, but we are not outmatched in spirit. Today, we will show these creatures the true might of humanity. A ragged cheer went up from the bridge crew, their faces etched with determination and defiance. Adara allowed herself a small, grim smile as she turned her attention back to the battle. Target their command ship, she ordered, her eyes narrowing. All available power to forward weapons. Let's make them remember the name Tempest. The battered ship's remaining weapons lashed out, their fire lancing through the alien vessel's shields. Adara watched with a mixture of pride and despair as the enemy command ship reeled under the unexpected assault, its hull breached and venting atmosphere. Direct hit, Aiden reported, a hint of triumph in his voice. Their shields are down. Adara's eyes gleamed with a fierce, predatory light. Then let's finish this. All hands, prepare to board the enemy vessel. We'll take the fight to them. Before Aiden could protest, the Tempest lurched as a massive explosion rocked its hull. Adara was thrown against her chair, her head striking the console with a sickening crack. As the bridge descended into chaos, Adara's vision blurred, and she felt a warm trickle of blood running down her face. Through the haze, she saw the alien ships converging on the Tempest, their weapons blazing with ruthless precision. "Shields down to 1%, Aiden reported, his voice tinged with despair. "We can't hold out much longer." Adara's thoughts raced as she fought to regain her bearings. They were beaten, she knew, but there had to be a way to tip the scales in their favor, some hidden advantage, some secret that could turn the tide of battle. Suddenly, a memory stirred in the back of her mind, a whispered legend, a tale of ancient human technology, hidden away from millennia. A spark of hope flared in her chest, and she turned to Aiden, her eyes alight with determination. "The vault," she gasped, her voice hoarse. "We have to get to the vault." Aiden's brow furrowed in confusion. "The vault? Captain, what are you?" "Trust me, Aiden," Adara interrupted, her hand gripping his arm with surprising strength. "This is our only chance. We have to get to the vault, no matter the cost." Aiden held her gaze for a long, agonizing moment, then nodded. "Very well, Captain. I'll divert power to the engines. But we'll have to get through those alien ships first." Adara's lips curled into a feral grin. "Then let's give them a fight they'll never forget." As the Tempest lurched forward, its battered engines straining to break free of the alien onslaught, Adara steeled herself for the battle to come. If the legends were true, then perhaps there was still hope for humanity after all. The Tempest bucked and shuddered as it pushed through the enemy barrage, its shields flickering and failing under the relentless assault. Adara gripped the arms of her chair, her face a mask of grim determination as she watched the battle unfold on the viewscreen. "Shields down to 1%, Aiden shouted, his voice laced with desperation. "We can't take much more of this." Adara's jaw tightened as she weighed their options. The alien ships were closing in, their weapons pounding the Tempest's battered hull with devastating force. They were running out of time. "Divert all remaining power to the engines," she ordered, her eyes narrowing. "We have to reach the vault, no matter the cost." Aiden's brow furrowed with concern. "The vault? Captain, are you sure?" "There's no time to explain." Adara interrupted, her voice brooking no argument. "If the legends are true, then the vault may be our only hope. Now, do it." Aiden hesitated for a moment, then nodded, his fingers flying across the console. The Tempest lurched forward, its engines straining as it pushed through the enemy's barrage. Adara gritted her teeth as the ship bucked and shuddered, alarms blaring around her. She could feel the ship's systems failing, the life draining from it with every passing moment. "We're losing structural integrity," Aiden reported, his face etched with fear. "Hull breaches on all decks. We won't make it." Adara's mind raced, searching for a solution, a way to turn the tide of battle. Suddenly, a memory stirred in the back of her mind, a whispered legend, a tale of ancient human technology, buried deep within the heart of a long-forgotten world. "The coordinates," she murmured, her eyes widening. "Aiden, set a course for the coordinates I'm about to give you. We have to get to the vault, no matter what it takes." Aiden's expression was one of bewilderment, but he nodded and began inputting the coordinates into the navigation system. Adara watched, her heart pounding, as the Tempest lurched forward, breaking free of the enemy's grasp. The alien ships pursued, their weapons blazing, but the Tempest was faster, its engines straining to reach their destination. Adara gripped the arms of her chair, her knuckles white, as she watched the distant planet grow larger on the viewscreen. "We're almost there," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. "Just hold on, Tempest. Hold on." With a final, agonizing lurch, the Tempest broke through the atmosphere, its battered hull glowing red-hot from the strain. Adara watched, her breath caught in her throat, as the ship descended towards a towering, ancient structure. A massive, monolithic edifice that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. "The vault?" she breathed, her eyes alight with wonder. We made it. As the tempest touched down, Adara felt a surge of hope coursing through her veins. If the legends were true, then perhaps they had a chance after all. But the battle was far from over, and the fate of humanity hung in the balance. With a deep, steadying breath, Adara rose from her chair, her expression resolute. Aiden, gather a security team. We're going in. As the Tempest's battered crew prepared to face the unknown, Adara felt a sense of both trepidation and determination. They had come too far to turn back now. Whatever lay within the vault, she was determined to uncover its secrets and use them to save humanity from the clutches of their implacable foes. Adara and her security team moved cautiously through the ancient, towering structure of the vault, their weapons at the ready. The air was thick with an unsettling energy, and the walls seemed to pulse with a faint, otherworldly glow. Stay alert, Adara murmured, her eyes scanning the dimly lit corridors. We don't know what we're up against. The team nodded, their faces etched with a mixture of trepidation and determination. They pressed on, their footsteps echoing in the eerie silence. As they rounded a corner, Adara's breath caught in her throat. Before them stood a massive, imposing door, its surface covered in intricate, glowing symbols that seemed to shift and dance with a life of their own. The vault, she breathed, her eyes widening with awe. We found it. Aiden stepped forward, his brow furrowed with concentration. Captain, I've never seen anything like this. How do we open it? Adara's gaze narrowed as she studied the door, her mind racing. There must be some kind of mechanism, some way to. Suddenly, the symbols on the door began to glow more brightly, a low hum filling the air. Adara and her team tensed, their weapons raised, as the door slowly slid open, revealing a cavernous chamber beyond. Stay sharp, Adara murmured, her fingers tightening around her weapon. We don't know what's in there. Cautiously, they stepped inside, their eyes adjusting to the dim, pulsing light that filled the chamber. Adara's breath caught in her throat as she surveyed the vast, alien technology that surrounded them. Towering consoles, gleaming control panels, and massive, humming devices that seemed to defy the laws of physics. This is incredible, Aiden whispered, his eyes wide with wonder. I've never seen anything like this. Adara nodded, her mind racing. This technology is far beyond anything we've encountered. It must be what the legends spoke of, the ancient power of the gods, hidden away for millennia. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the chamber, deep and resonant, sending a shiver down Adara's spine. You have come, at last, children of Earth. Adara whirled, her weapon raised, as a figure materialized before them. A being of pure energy, its form shifting and flickering like a living flame. Who are you? Adara demanded, her voice betraying a hint of fear. The being regarded her with an unsettling calm. I am the guardian of this place, the keeper of the ancient knowledge. And you, Captain Adara Rin, have been chosen to wield its power. Adara's eyes narrowed. Chosen? What do you mean? The being's response was grave. The fate of your people hangs in the balance. The enemy you face is ancient, powerful, and unforgiving. Only with the technology within this vault can you hope to defeat them. Adara felt a chill run down her spine. Then tell me what I must do. The being's form shifted, its voice resonating with a sense of urgency. Time is short, child of Earth. You must act quickly, or all will be lost. As the being's words echoed through the chamber, Adara knew that the fate of humanity rested on her shoulders. With a steely resolve, she turned to her team, her expression grim. We have our orders, she said, her voice unwavering. Let's get to work. Adara and her team moved with a sense of purpose, their hands flying across the alien consoles as they struggled to unlock the secrets of the vault. The Guardian's words had instilled a sense of urgency in them, and they knew that the fate of humanity hung in the balance. I'm trying to interface with the main control systems, Aiden reported, his brow furrowed in concentration. but this technology is unlike anything I've ever seen. It's going to take time to decipher it." Adara nodded, her mind racing. "We don't have time to waste. Keep at it, Aiden. The rest of you, fan out and search for any clues or information that might help us." The team sprang into action, their footsteps echoing through the cavernous chamber as they explored the vault's labyrinthine corridors. Adara remained at Aiden's side, her eyes fixed on the shifting displays before them, her fingers drumming anxiously on the console. Suddenly, a faint tremor shook the chamber, and Adara's breath caught in her throat. "What was that?" she demanded, her eyes darting around the room. Aiden's face paled. "The enemy ships. They've found us. They're closing in fast." Adara's jaw tightened, her mind racing. "We need to buy more time. Can you activate any of the vault's defenses?" Aiden's fingers flew across the console, his expression tense. "I'm trying, but the systems are incredibly complex. It's going to take time to." A thunderous explosion rocked the chamber, and Adara was thrown to the floor, her weapon clattering from her grasp. She pushed herself up, her eyes wide with alarm. "Report," she shouted, her voice hoarse. "They've breached the outer defenses." One of the security officers reported, his face etched with fear. "We're under attack." Adara's gaze darted to the viewscreen, where she could see the sleek, imposing silhouettes of the enemy ships descending upon the vault. Her heart pounded in her chest as she realized that they were running out of time. "Aiden, we need those defenses up and running, now," she cried, her voice laced with desperation. Aiden's fingers danced across the console, his expression one of frantic concentration. "I'm working as fast as I can, but the system's air." Another explosion rocked the chamber, and Adara felt the floor tremble beneath her feet. She braced herself, her eyes narrowing with determination. "We're running out of time," she growled, her voice low and fierce. "Do whatever it takes, Aiden. We can't let them win." Aiden's eyes met hers, and for a moment, Adara saw the same fierce determination reflected in his gaze. With a resolute nod, he turned back to the console, his fingers a blur as he worked. Adara reached down, her hand closing around the familiar grip of her weapon. She could hear the sounds of the battle raging outside, the thunder of alien weapons and the cries of her crew. She knew that they were outmatched, outgunned, and outmashed, but she refused to give in to despair. "Humanity will not be broken," she murmured, her voice barely audible over the din of the battle. "We will fight, and we will win." With a deep, steadying breath, Adara turned to face the enemy, her weapon raised and her eyes burning with a fierce, unyielding determination. Whatever lay ahead, she was ready to meet it head-on, for the sake of her crew, for the sake of her people, and for the sake of all that she held dear. The vault shuddered under the relentless assault, its ancient walls crumbling as the enemy ships pounded its defenses with devastating firepower. Adara gripped her weapon tightly, her knuckles whitening as she watched Aiden frantically work at the console. "How much longer, Aiden?" she demanded, her voice taut with urgency. "I'm trying, Captain, but this technology is unlike anything I've ever seen," Aiden replied, his brow furrowed in concentration. "I need more time." Adara's jaw tightened as she listened to the sounds of the battle raging outside. The security team had taken up defensive positions, their weapons blazing in a desperate attempt to hold off the invaders, but she knew that they were outmatched. "We don't have time," she said, her voice grim. "The vault won't hold much longer. We need to find another way." Aiden's eyes widened as he caught a glimpse of the viewscreen, where the enemy ships were closing in with relentless determination. "Captain, I don't know what else to do," he admitted, his voice laced with frustration and fear. Adara's gaze hardened as she made a decision. "Then we fight," she said, her voice resolute. "We'll take the fight to them, Aiden. We can't let them win." Aiden's expression was one of disbelief, but before he could protest, Adara had turned to the security team, her voice ringing out with authority. "All hands, prepare to board the enemy vessels," she ordered. "We're going to show these creatures the true might of humanity." The security team hesitated for a moment, their faces etched with uncertainty, but Adara's unwavering gaze soon had them springing into action. They gathered their weapons and equipment, their eyes burning with a fierce, unyielding determination. As the vault's defenses crumbled, Adara led her team towards the main entrance, her weapon at the ready. She could feel the ground trembling beneath her feet, the very air alive with the thunderous roar of alien weapons. "Captain, are you sure about this?" Aiden called out, his voice laced with apprehension. Adara paused, her gaze meeting his. "We have no other choice, Aiden," she said, her voice calm and resolute. "If we don't stop them here, they'll destroy everything we hold dear. This is our last stand." Aiden nodded, his expression grim. "Then I'm with you, Captain," he said, his fingers tightening around his own weapon. Together, they emerged into the chaos of the battle, their weapons blazing as they charged towards the enemy ships. Adara felt her heart pounding in her chest, the adrenaline coursing through her veins as she dodged enemy fire and fought her way towards the enemy's command vessel. Around her, her crew fought with a ferocity born of desperation, their weapons cutting a swath through the alien forces. Adara could see the enemy faltering, their confidence shaken by the unexpected human onslaught. "For humanity," she cried, her voice echoing across the battlefield as she pressed the attack, her weapon never wavering. As the battle raged on, Adara knew that they were fighting for more than just their own survival. They were fighting for the very future of their species, for the chance to show the galaxy that humanity could not be broken, no matter the odds. And as she fought, she felt a surge of hope, a glimmer of the ancient power that lay within the vault, waiting to be unleashed. The battle raged on, a chaotic maelstrom of weapons fire and debris. Adara and her crew fought with a desperate ferocity, their weapons blazing as they pressed the attack against the enemy ships. Around them, the vault shuddered and groaned, its ancient defenses faltering under the relentless assault. Adara could feel the ground trembling beneath her feet, the very air alive with the thunderous roar of alien weapons. "We can't hold out much longer," Aiden shouted, his voice barely audible over the din of the battle. Adara's jaw tightened as she surveyed the scene, her mind racing. They were outmatched, outgunned, and outmashed, but she refused to give in to despair. "Then we'll take the fight to them," she replied, her voice resolute. "We can't let them win, Aiden. Not after everything we've sacrificed." Aiden's eyes widened, but before he could protest, Adara had already turned to the rest of the team, her voice ringing out with authority. "All hands, prepare to board the enemy vessels," she ordered. "We're going to show these creatures the true might of humanity." The security team hesitated for a moment, their faces etched with uncertainty, but Adara's unwavering gaze soon had them springing into action. They gathered their weapons and equipment, their eyes burning with a fierce, unyielding determination. As the vault's defenses crumbled, Adara led her team towards the main entrance, her weapon at the ready. She could feel the ground trembling beneath her feet, the very air alive with the thunderous roar of alien weapons. "Captain, are you sure about this?" Aiden called out, his voice laced with apprehension. Adara paused, her gaze meeting his. "We have no other choice, Aiden," she said, her voice calm and resolute. "If we don't stop them here, they'll destroy everything we hold dear. This is our last stand." Aiden nodded, his expression grim. "Then I'm with you, Captain," he said, his fingers tightening around his own weapon. Together, they emerged into the chaos of the battle, their weapons blazing as they charged towards the enemy ships. Adara felt her heart pounding in her chest, the adrenaline coursing through her veins as she dodged enemy fire and fought her way towards the enemy's command vessel. Around her, her crew fought with a ferocity born of desperation, their weapons cutting a swath through the alien forces. Adara could see the enemy faltering, their confidence shaken by the unexpected human onslaught. For humanity, she cried, her voice echoing across the battlefield as she pressed the attack, her weapon never wavering. As the battle raged on, Adara felt a surge of hope, a glimmer of the ancient power that lay within the vault, waiting to be unleashed. She pushed forward, her mind racing as she searched for a way to tap into that power, to turn the tide of the battle. Suddenly, a thunderous explosion rocked the enemy command vessel, and Adara watched in awe as its sleek, imposing form began to crumble. She turned, her eyes widening as she caught a glimpse of the vault's defenses coming to life, their alien technology lashing out with devastating force. "Aiden, what's happening?" she demanded, her voice tinged with disbelief. Aiden's face was a mask of wonder. "The vault? Captain," he breathed. "It's awake. It's fighting back." Adara felt a surge of triumph as she watched the enemy ships falter, their once formidable defenses crumbling under the relentless onslaught of the vault's ancient power. She knew that this was their chance, their opportunity to turn the tide of the battle and secure victory for humanity. With a fierce, determined grin, she turned to her crew, her voice ringing out with unwavering resolve. "All hands, prepare to board the enemy vessels. We're taking the fight to them, once and for all." As the vault's ancient defenses roared to life, Adara and her crew surged forward, their weapons blazing, their spirits unbroken. For today, they would show the galaxy that humanity was not to be trifled with, that they were a force to be reckoned with, no matter the odds.